time running out and not many options, and the only thing they got on the table is the letter back to Khrushchev to see if he's still in control, Kennedy takes a gamble. And he looks to someone to solve the problem. He needs a great negotiator. So who does President Kennedy pick to be this negotiator for this plan he has? Who's he going to pick to be the negotiator? Can't be him. No. He was proud of Adlai. It's a good guess. He was proud of Adlai, but he thought Adlai was the best Adlai was ever going to do. So who did he trust most and send in to negotiate? His brother Bobby. Okay? He needed someone to be diplomatic, not too soft and not too hard-lined. So the president turned to his closest advisor, Bobby. And Bobby then asked Kenneth O'Donnell to go with him for moral support. And he's going to negotiate something with somebody. Who do you think he's going to negotiate with? Who's Bobby Kennedy going to have a meeting with? No, God, no. Who would be the guy? Who would be the go-between? It wouldn't be Foman, because he's a KGB agent.
Be Anatoly Dobrynin.
There you go. Anatoly Dobrynin. Very good. So Bobby is going to meet with Soviet Ambassador Anatoly Dobrynin. And he's going to meet with him privately. And what's he going to do? What's he going to say to Dobrynin? Because they got 28 hours to get this taken care of, or we're going to war. They're making a last-ditch effort here. What is Bobby going to tell Dobrynin? Secretly, privately, so no one else knows. What's he going to tell him? What's he going to agree to? Trading the missiles in Turkey for the missiles in Cuba. So Bobby Kennedy, on orders of his brother, the president, was to offer Khrushchev the missiles in Turkey in exchange for the American missiles. He was to offer Khrushchev to take out the missiles in Turkey in exchange for the missiles to come out of Cuba. Now the meeting was going to take place at the Attorney General's office. So Bobby called Anatoly Dobrynin and asked him if he would meet him at his office, the Attorney General's office. And what day is this? We're still on the same day, so we're not confused. Saturday, October 27th. So O'Donnell drives Bobby to the Attorney General's office, and Ambassador Dobrynin was already there waiting for him. And before they got out of the car, Bobby was a little skeptical of whether he could get the job done here. He was pretty nervous. And when O'Donnell took a look at Bobby and saw that he was shaken, his confidence was shaken a little bit, and he wasn't sure he could pull this off, O'Donnell said to Bobby, "No one else would I trust Helen and the kids' lives with." That was the pep talk he gave him. He said, "No one else would I trust Helen and the kids' life with." Because that was what this was going to be. Because if we go to war on Monday, I mean, who knows what's going to happen. So, during the short drive to the office, Bobby confided in O'Donnell, stating he was unsure he could make this work. His confidence was down. He wasn't real sure of himself. And O'Donnell responded to Bobby Kennedy by saying, quote, "No one else would I trust Helen and the kids' lives with." They went into the Attorney General's office, and O'Donnell waited outside the office, whistling up some luck for Bobby. So O'Donnell actually sat outside the office and began to whistle, whistling him up some luck. What's that an old tradition of? What nationality? I'm going to whistle you up some luck. What?
Irish.
Irish, yep. So the meeting began between Bobby and Anatoly Dobrynin as O'Donnell sat outside the office whistling up some luck. Now, I just want you to put your pencil down or pen. I want you to listen to this conversation because this is incredible. Because here's the following conversation occurred between Robert Kennedy and Soviet Ambassador Dobrynin. Robert Kennedy starts the meeting. He says, "My brother, my friends, my countrymen, and I cannot and will not permit those missiles to become operational. I promise you that." Dobrynin's response was, "Then I fear our two nations will go to war, and I fear where war will lead us. Kennedy responds, if the missiles do not become operational, if you remove the missiles, then there will be no war. At this moment, the President is accepting the term of Secretary Khrushchev's letter of Friday night. If the Soviet Union halts construction immediately, removes the missiles and submits to UN inspection, the United States will pledge to never invade Cuba or aid others in that enterprise. So he's talking about the first letter. Dobrynen's comment, if your Jupiter missiles in Turkey were removed also, such an accommodation could be reached. Bobby Kennedy, gambler, kind of a bluffer, he says, that's not possible. The United States cannot agree to such terms under threat. Any belief to the contrary was an error. So who's he protecting himself from? What's he telling Dobrynin? I can't justify that to our military. Okay, listen again. That's not possible. The United States cannot agree to such terms under threat. Any belief to the contrary was an error. Dobrynin looked him straight in the eye and said, you want war? Dobrynin got disgusted to a point, reached for his briefcase and decided to leave the meeting, and Bobby continued. This is where he tried to bluff and it didn't work. So Bobby replies, he said, however, while there can be no quid pro quo on this issue, the United States can offer a private assurance. What's quid pro quo mean? This or that. Okay? However, while there can be no quid pro quo on this issue, the United States can offer a private assurance. Now, our Jupiter missiles in Turkey are obsolete and have been scheduled for withdrawal for some time. This withdrawal should take place, say, within 6 months. Of course, any public disclosure of this assurance would negate the deal and produce the most stringent denials from our government. What's Bobby saying?
We'll take them out, but we won't trade.
We'll take them out in 6 months. We won't trade and we won't make this look like a deal. Okay? Dobrynen's response to that was, this private assurance represents the word of the highest authority, which would be President Kennedy. Robert Kennedy replies, yes. And Dobrynin replies, and it can be relayed beyond Comrade Khrushchev's ears to the top circles of my government? What does that mean? Not only can this message be given to Khrushchev, it can be given to what? His military. Because do they want the missiles out of Turkey? Sure. Robert Kennedy responds, our pledge can be relayed to any government official Secretary Khrushchev sees fit to satisfy, with the caveat that it is not to be made public in any way, shape, or form. And we must have an answer tomorrow at the latest. I cannot stress this point enough. Why? Because Monday they're going to war, and tomorrow's Sunday. I want to read that again. It's very important. Our pledge can be relayed to any government official Secretary Khrushchev sees fit to satisfy, with the caveat that it is not to be made public in any way, shape, or form. And we must have an answer by tomorrow at the latest. I cannot stress this point enough. Now, Ambassador Dobrynin was just absolutely relieved because he knew what the consequences were. So he excused himself to give this valuable information to the Soviet government. But before he's leaving, as he's got his briefcase and starting to leave, he turns to Bobby and he says, we have heard stories that some of your military men wish for war. You're a good man. Your brother is a good man. I assure you there are other good men. Let us hope the will of good men is enough to counter the terrible strain of this thing that was put into motion. So he's acknowledging that he appreciates the fact that the president's tried to work this out without war, and Khrushchev also is a good man, and he and his aides are trying to do the same thing. So, with that said, the night grew very tense for everybody from XCOM because they've got to get this answer back by Sunday. So many members of XCOM for the first time went home to spend the night with their families, waiting for word from the Soviets the next day, including Kenneth O'Donnell. So that night tension grew for all members of XCOM. Many members went home to spend the night with their families. waiting for word from the Soviets, and hoping they'd get the word on time before Monday morning. So Kenneth O'Donnell was among those that went home, and he, of course, was worried about the worst. What's the worst possible scenario? Nuclear war. That evening, you got to remember, his family hasn't seen him in several days. They have no idea what's going on. And finally, Kenneth O'Donnell's wife that evening basically said, "What's going to happen?" And Kenneth O'Donnell's response was this. This is a great quote. He said, "If the sun comes up tomorrow, it is only because of men of goodwill. That is all that is between us and the devil." I'll repeat that again. So that evening, when his wife Helen asked him what's going to happen, O'Donnell's response was, quote, "If the sun comes up tomorrow, it is only because of men of goodwill. That is all that is between us and the devil." Again, if the sun comes up tomorrow, it is only because of men of goodwill. That is all that is between us and the devil. And that ends Saturday, October 27th. Okay? And that ends the lecture for today. So we'll tell you what happens from this point on. Here's what we got, kids, really. We've got about a day lecture, and then we're going to prep for a final quiz. But we're going to prep for a final quiz. Then you're going to put those quizzes all together, and that's going to be your review sheet. Then we're going to spend about 5 days watching the movie 13 Days in November, and when that's over, we're going to have a test. Okay? Now, I want to make one more point before we get chatty. I got to be really honest with you. The first couple, 3 weeks of school, I wasn't too sure you guys were getting this. And what I mean by getting this is the procedure of taking notes, and making sure you have good notes, and making sure you understand, and you're not big in dangers, you're not bad, but you're getting better. My point being is, after giving, the reason I gave that assignment and not a quiz is I wanted to see how well you had things in your notes, because obviously that must have been where you got them from. I felt much more confident, and I feel much better that you guys are really getting it, because it takes some time to get used to this type of instruction. Because I'm expecting you to come in here 50 minutes a day, listen, take notes, hopefully enjoy the history of the lecture, and go on with life without too much homework at all. And so I get worried we get a little complacent, but I think you guys are doing real well, and I've always had the philosophy that you have a lot of work in other classes, so if I can just get 50 good minutes out of you here, and you understand what we're saying, it'll be what it's like in college in a history course. I don't think your history professors in college that are lecture guys are going to give you a ton of homework. I think they're going to lecture, and give you a test. Okay, well good. Well, I feel good about it. I hope you feel as good as I do. I should keep that up for 5th period. Don't tell 5th period. This is a great joke on it.
It's great. It was pretty good. I love it.
What I say, dependable, punctual. Oh. That's pretty good when you got it in there. I was talking with Keller today. I was telling her that she might want to sign up to take the ACT. So she told me what score she got, which I thought was really a good score. And I'm thinking, geez, I got, what did I say, a 15 on mine? In my day, they tested math, science, English, and social studies. My lowest score was in social studies, just, you know. But anyway, in those days, if you had a pulse and a little bit of money, you could get into college. So I'm thinking a 15 actually is pretty good. You can't, I think actually it was twice as hard, so I think I really got a 30. I do. What for? I can't remember. Oh yeah, because you. Yeah. Well, tell me where you want to go. You want a gift certificate? What do you want to do? That was my prediction. What if I'd have said 50? Or what if I had said 36 and you damage your self-esteem? Well, that's where you figure out where you want to go. You can take a buddy. Well, we have a little bet. I was arguing about her taking the ACT earlier. She wouldn't score the certain score. Of course, you know, Alex, when you give her a challenge, she doesn't mess around. So, I lost. Yeah, way brighter than I thought she was. Oh, I got 8 crow on that one. So you pick where you want to go, and I'll make sure you get enough money to take you in a friend. I thought she'd say, when do you want to go to beef? No, she can't. Holy moly, I can't win for losing in beef.
You did say that she wasn't smart to value her, so
you know, listen, I want to make something clear. When I'm critical of you guys, it's in love, not hate. I just want you to know that. Oh, you didn't hear it. Yeah. Okay, that's Did you guys hear that one? Well, Mauricio remembers this because I was so mad last year. Wasn't that about Christmas? So I'm in the mall in Village. I'm in that pathetic place. Have you heard it? I'm not kidding, it's a bad story, isn't it? So my sons want these fancy jeans. You know, I don't even know, they have to go into any crop, and the crops are like a sugar. So I go in there, and these jeans are 2 pair for like $59.95 or something. I mean, 2 pair for exactly. So I go in there with cash, and I bring the 2 pair, and I have 3 20s. I take them out of my wallet, and there's a lady in front of me, and I'm getting them out of my wallet. She, one 20 falls on the ground, and so she picks it up, and I look at her, and she says to me, "Finders, keepers, losers, weepers." Okay, right, you know. So I put my hand on, she goes, "No, I'm serious. You dropped this to finders, keepers, losers, weepers." So I'm thinking, what am I going to do here? So I didn't have my wallet. I said 3 20s, right? So I got to take the pants back and put them back and try to find my wife in the mall. So I thought, I'll get this gal. She must have 6 packages she's carrying with her. So she goes in that middle area, you know, kind of where the massage chairs are or whatever, and she drops down her 6 packages. And so I just walk by and just take 2 and head to my car and put it in my car. Yeah. Just took her bags. Put it in my car, took them home. What was in the bags? Just a bunch of crap like I've been feeding you guys. Thank you, Emily. I got kids go, "You gotta be kidding me now." That's a bunch of crap. I would do that though, probably.
that's why I'm like, I couldn't even do it.
Now you'll never believe another story I tell you. Hey, your class will, well, I would have done this, I would have done this.
Because we were so into it.
I drug it on a little longer with them. Yeah, I went and found my wife, and she was mad she had to give me another 20, and then I happened to just walk by that middle. Yeah, we already have these guys sucked in.
Oh my God.
You can't, hey, I had a quote up at the guidance house one day. A day without laughter is a day wasted. Yeah, even if you laugh at yourself, it's true.
What if you just laughed at other people?
I'm just very sarcastic, so when I give you a bad time, I'm really not. Well, you can tell me. I tell my players when I was coaching, if I say, "Mauricio, get your head out of your butt," "Mauricio, do this," "Mauricio, come on, what's your deal?" Mauricio, just let it go in one ear and out the other. If I say "Caballero," pay attention, then you know I'm mad. That's how I used to do it. I'd get mad and practice and blow up. Problem. It is still on. I'll have to watch this. Sandra, you'll love this one, baby.